My name is Geerte Udo, and I think my parents never thought I would have any international ambitions by giving me this name. But don't feel shy or afraid. Even for Dutch people, it's a sort of an awkward name. Maybe on the other hand, my parents had a foresight, and they said, okay, in the world of globalization, the only thing that really matters is authenticity. And guess what? I am the only Geerte Udo. I'm marketing director at Amsterdam Marketing already for more than 13 years. And Amsterdam Marketing is an integrated marketing organization that focuses on a lot of integrated issues that we're dealing with at the Amsterdam area. But let me first get started with this. So the first two lessons I want to give you is branding a location. Doesn't matter if it's a country or a city. It's all about emotion. And second of all, especially because you're focusing on the music, the power of this video is more than 50% because we started with the music and then added the pictures. Keep it in mind in the age where video is becoming more and more important. We as Amsterdam Marketing, like I said, are a public-private foundation. We're funded for 1/3 by the city of Amsterdam, 33 other cities around Amsterdam, all our cultural institutions, and 1,100 partners from the private business. And that is very diverse. It's from hotels to convention centers, but also all the big corporates like Heineken, KLM, etc. And why do they invest in Amsterdam Marketing? Because at the end, they will all profit from a better brand and a better marketing strategy. So our mission is to contribute to the livability, the attractiveness, and the prosperity of the Amsterdam area. And we do that by attracting and guiding residents, businesses, and visitors. And we do it in a way of place branding, city marketing, and networking activities. And for us, the mission statement is really important because it showcases that tourism is not an isolated industry. It's not an isolated economy. Cities are vibrant and living organisms, and that is why we target all these 3 different target groups from one perception. We believe that the people that live in the city, work in the city, and visit the city, they make the soul of the city. So you have to approach them together. And the other reason why we are so happy and proud of this integrated approach is because at the end, we target human beings. I'm here as a business visitor, but within a few hours, I become a tourist. And we know from our experience, if somebody from the States came to Amsterdam because of a convention, and the mom goes back to the United States, and the kid comes home and says, guess what, Mom? I can study in Europe. Can I go to Amsterdam? The chance that the mother or the father is saying yes to the kid after they already have been in Amsterdam is much bigger. So, of course, these target groups are very important if you do the marketing, but you should always keep in mind that sometimes the same people have the different functions. If my dream comes true, one day I will be a local or a resident of Barcelona. So just a little facts and figures before we start talking about the rest. We have only 853,000 residents, but we have 2.3 million inhabitants in the bigger area. We have 180 nationalities. That's quite a lot if you have such a small amount relatively. And we have 11,000 new inhabitants a year. We have a lot of international company startups, and we're having 147 new international companies each year. And it's not huge companies. Some, of course, are, like EMA, coming over from England. But sometimes it's just 3 people. They just come over for a year to check if everything we promise is real. And then if they find out that it is, then they move over the office. We also have a lot of business events, of course. We have 650 hotels with a lot of hotel room. We have 17 million visitors. That's quite a lot for such a small city. 13.8 million hotel overnights. 80 million city tax income just on tourism tax. And yes, we still have more bikes than residents. And do you know why? Never tell anybody, but Dutch ladies, when they become mom, they need the seats on the bike to bring the kids to school. But on Saturday, when they go out, they don't want to be recognized as a mom. So they have a second bike with no seats. They go into town. Okay, but how to manage this success? When I started 13 years ago, we had big ambitions. And to be honest, it was growth. We wanted to have more companies, more talent, and above all, more visitors. And in 2014, we found out that the visitor economy is growing so fast that maybe our city was a bit too small to handle if we did not change some things in the city. And I'm going to show you some examples how we are trying to make our city more livable, lovable, and prosperous. And one of the things we started in 2014 is stopping campaigning. And guess what? What do you think our private partner said for the hotel industry? Huh? Well, if you do not campaign, why should I pay you? But we started to talk with politicians and with the business to say, okay, but we have to manage the success for the long-term economic growth. Because if we only look at the short-term profit, we know all that there are some cities that are so mainly focused on tourism. Local people leave, and if the local people leave and the companies leave, you do not have a soul in a city. And a city without a soul is not interesting for tourism either. The other thing we tried, because these are the problems that we are facing, and I was lucky to meet some people of Barcelona, and I know in a lot of European cities this is the issue. The infrastructure gets overloaded. But, like I said before, it's not everywhere in Amsterdam. We found the streets, because it's not even neighborhoods. It's just a few streets where we really have to make the change. We have antisocial behavior becoming bigger because there are just more people, more waste. Social cohesion decreases if there are too many guests in a certain area. Local residents get alienated. The house pricing rises very quickly, and our culture and heritage is threatened. It's okay still, but you have to know that if a lot of people go through the streets and buildings, etc., that you have to take care of it. And the other problem is that we're in this paradox altogether. It's in our nature as human beings that we want to visit unique places. And the bad thing that happens, if we do that with too many people, we take away the identity of this unique place. And it's not only here. There are isles in Thailand, etc., where they just really shut down the isle because nature is getting damaged too much. The other one is authenticity versus mainstream. I'm not sure, but the people from the tourism industry will know, last 10 years there were 1 million ideas and platforms like a local. So the local people would guide visitors. The biggest problem is if you look at data, what we did the last 3 years very much and very often, and very different data, people say they want to have an authentic experience. But if you look at their real behavior, we're not so authentic at all. We know, for instance, for our Amsterdam city card that has an RFID code, so we can track how people behave in the city, that everybody goes to the Van Gogh Museum in the morning and on the canal boat in the afternoon. And it's not that we have better weather in the afternoon or anything. Why? And this little data helps us already in saying to these people, guess what? If you go to the canal boat in the morning and even go in the afternoon, you have a better experience. The last one is residents versus guests. That is also, we had this funny article in the local newspaper from this guy who said, will all the residents in Amsterdam that complain about over-tourism promise me by heart that they will never ever go to Barcelona, London, and Berlin, because at least we help them solving their problem a little bit. So the things you expect from visitors in your hometown can be totally different than what you behave when you're a visitor yourself. And it's not going away. We know that for our city, within 2025, the expected visitor will be increased by approximately 30%. We have all these growing economies in the world that make a lot more people in the situation that they can travel. We will get a second new airport in Amsterdam. It would be awkward if it doesn't bring new guests to our city. The development in the sharing economy is enormously, and we will have much more and other disruptive platforms. We have a lot of low-cost travel possibility. You know, the low-cost carriers, the trains, the boats, etc. And besides there are more visitors coming over, we are just an expanding city, like Barcelona. We have more talent, we have more jobs, we have more companies, we're attracting more inhabitants, we're attracting more expats. So it's a conclusion of all this growth that comes together. So, the solution is we put a fence around the city. But that would harm our identity so much, because we're always an open city. We were built by people that were passing by and stuck and stayed there or left again. We were traders for more than 400 years. So it's not in our DNA to close a city. And I have to be honest, we have some local parties today on the election that said Amsterdam is for the Amsterdam people. And I was totally shocked. Because I was, who are you? Where did you come from originally? Oh, from another city in the Netherlands. So you were welcome, and you're successful, and you're closing the gate. This is not how we believe. You have to facilitate the growth and downsize the negative effect. So you have to be smart, because we know that the amount of people that will travel will grow the coming up years if, of course, safety and economy stay like it is today. So what we did, everything we do at the office has to service these two goals. Because if we do this together, everybody agrees. Politician agrees that we have to do it. The growth, of course, all the companies agree on it, cultural institutions as well. So it always helps to get out of this discussion to blame one certain group of people. It's easy to talk over tourism is an umbrella problem, but it doesn't solve anything. You should go down and see what the real problems are to find the right solutions. So we have data-driven campaigns. Like I said, we're not campaigning abroad anymore, but as soon as you enter the city, and we know from data exactly if you're there for the first time. If you're there for the first time, we will never bother you with this campaign. Why not? First-time visitors go to the highlights. They want to see what everybody wants to see, the Van Gogh, the Canal District, etc. We know repeat visitors want to discover new neighborhoods. So we target it. We can already see on Facebook and Twitter and where they're active, going to Amsterdam again. If we see the word again, we know that they can use this campaign. This is mainly to spread tourism into all these neighborhoods. But you have to be clear on this as well. Make the difference in the neighborhood. If it comes to place making, we're really focusing on the diversity of neighborhoods as well. If every neighborhood, you say it has bars and cafes and cultural institutions, how should I decide where to go? All these areas have different identities, so highlight them. But again, you have to be data-driven in your campaigning. And some people say it's a spreading fairy tale, the partners that are not so pro-tourism, because they think we try to spread tourists that are here for the first time. But like I said, these are real focused campaigns. Like this one as well. And this is the campaign that when I started 13 years ago, our main message was to the world that Amsterdam was more than a red light district and a coffee shop. Because we knew, of course, and we're in a lucky position that a lot of people in the world know it because of that. And for us, it's just an example of our tolerance. You know, if there is a question and an offer, we match it and we raise taxes on it. That is how we grew in the last 400 years. So that was our first job. So we invested a lot in culture, of course. If you do not invest in your city, then it's worth nothing, marketing and branding. So we made the change, hopefully a little bit more to this cultural, historical, innovative city, etc. But we also worked on this project, showing all these other parts of Amsterdam. And at least giving the idea in your mind that Amsterdam is a little bit more than red light district and coffee shops, canals and museums. And if you see this campaign, this is a campaign of 33 municipalities. And why? Who of you has been to Paris? Yes. And who of you has been to Versailles in Paris? Yes. And did you cross more than 5 municipalities or less? Okay, you know. Versailles is a city. The chateau is called the Chateau de Versailles. So there are a lot of cities in between before you enter Versailles. Do you care? No. You can go there, direct public transport within an hour, and it's worth the travel. That is the base of this whole campaign. We said every position where it's reachable within an hour with public transport, there's a reason to visit. We cooperate in this campaign. Because why would we bother you that the beach of Zandvoort is called, the beach of Amsterdam is called Zandvoort? You will never go to their website, you will never go to other promotional organizations because you just never heard of it. And if we organize a beach party at Amsterdam Beach, you will see it on iamsterdam.com, and the international students go there and maybe the visitors that are in town as well. But you also have to work on the convenience. Like I said, visitors are most of the times a little bit lazy. So we made, for instance, to get people in this area, this industrial heritage line bus. And people ask, how did you finance? Very easy. It was a normal public bus. It was going there anyway. But nobody knew. Yeah, the local people knew, but not the visitors. So we made these funny graphics, really easy. We put them on the bus. We made a little campaign saying, guess what? You can go with a tour operator to the Zaanse Schans for 25 euros, or for €2.50 you take the public bus. And guess what? The bus company was very happy. So now, for the local people at the Windmill Village, Zaanstad, they don't have a direct bus connection every once an hour, but 6 times an hour. So it works on both sides. It's a simple effect of bringing guests for a good price to a good location, and the local people benefit from it as well. Another product that we're doing is the Amsterdam City Card. It gives you free access to public transport and all the cultural institutions. And also there we made sure 30% of the offer that's in the card are museums that are in the Amsterdam area. They're not in Amsterdam City. And last but not least is the regional day ticket. We have a complex public transport system. And if you are not from Amsterdam, you can never ever find out how it works. So we made this easy ticket for our visitors, so it can easily go around in this bigger area. This is our other campaign. Maybe you can copy it. No, this is actually not our campaign. But we're launching a campaign next month, and it has to do with respect and enjoy. And I know a lot of European cities have the same issue. You have people that come to town, and the only thing they want to do is drink whatever they can find and get pissed as soon as possible, and then misbehave. And nobody wants these people. But you cannot say yes or no somewhere at the gate. So 1.5 years ago, we started negotiating with a lot of people saying, okay, we want to tell these people that Amsterdam is a very open and tolerant city, but openness and tolerance only works with respect for each other. And they have to know that this is a living area as well. And of course, we saw all these campaigns popping up in Europe with all these signs. It's forbidden to yell on the street. It's forbidden to pee on the street. And we said, yeah, that's the message. But if you look in social behavior, most drunk people do not behave differently because there is a sign, please do not pee on the streets. So we said what we should do is we cooperate with the police department, we cooperate with the law enforcement people of City Hall, and with scientists on social behavior. And we said we have to make this whole funnel. So we're launching in April, probably, this new campaign, and as soon as it goes live, again, we look totally with all the digital information. With the digital information from the police office, the City Hall, and our own strategy team, we knew exactly who these people are. Sorry, but most of them are male. They're between 18 and 35. Most of the times they come from England, but also from Spain and France. And a lot of them just come from the Netherlands. So it's really easy targeting, because of course you do not want to do this whole campaign to all the 85% of visitors that come with respect to the town and make our city a better place. So we're really focusing on that. And the campaign is built that as soon as somebody posts in England, oh, looking forward to my stag party in Amsterdam, the law enforcement department or the police department will react and say, you're more than welcome. We hope to see you here. Then we know the platforms that they use, where they book their hotel, well, how they book their tickets, etc., etc. So we make sure we're giving them ads over there, not ads like saying, please behave. I would do a sneak preview. These ads say, we tell you how to save a lot of money. And we know the only thing these people want is saving money so that they can spend it on the drinks. That's why they sleep cheap. That's why they travel cheap. And of course, so we made this campaign totally focused on the data. Who are these people? What is their reason to travel? Having fun. So we have to start there. And again, we build it, and I keep my fingers crossed, and of course we hope it will work out, that as soon as they're there, the weekend that they're there, the police department will launch the new system that if they catch you on the street, you have to pay immediately with the cash machine. How do you say that? With a credit card machine on the street. Because we have to make sure within a few weeks we have so many fines that the press in English, in England and in France and in Spain will write articles about it, saying, wow, it's really serious business in Amsterdam. They're really taking care of the local people to keep the city livable, lovable, and prosperous. Another thing we're doing, of course, is the guiding with all these platforms. But also here, you really have to look in the data. Who is on these platforms? You've all been to Paris. Who of you does follow Facebook Paris? I'm not going to harm myself by pulling the question if you follow our Facebook platform. But you've all been there. But none of you does follow. Why would you? To be honest, I do follow Barcelona, but that's because I know you and I love you. But if you have your messaging out there, be sure that you know exactly who is on these platforms. We know for Facebook, it's just people that love Amsterdam because they live there and they're international, or maybe because they used to live there and they moved out. And of course, we have some people that are really fans. On our Twitter account, it's only business. That's also why we only push business things on our Twitter account. So again, that's really useful to use all this different data to make sure how to get the right story via the right channel to the right customer. But at the end, that's our goal. Of course, we're doing all these new route functionalities as well to guide people better to different areas. We made this whole game in an app. We thought we were going to make an app and people will download it and we're going to seduce them, etc. They did download it, but the biggest hurdle was the app. So we're actually shifting to mobile platforms now that it's much easier access and they can just find new routes. They said we do not need all these bonus gets. I just want to be guided around. If I get all these free bonus, etc., it's probably sponsored. I want to have the best tours that I can get. Again, another use of real data. If it comes to cleaning the city, we're looking where is it busy. because where it's busy, it's more waste. So we know sure that the cleaning organizations go there first instead of making their basic route by day. This is just somebody who made a profile of all the photos that were uploaded on Flickr. And of course, here is the red light district, it's the Anne Frank house, etc. Here's the canals, and this one is the I Amsterdam sign. Another thing we did was making this Lifeline. And on this Lifeline, you can check real times what the times are for waiting at these different locations. Because we want to guide and to service these people better with big data. And you can see the Van Gogh, it's 3 hours. The line is on hold. You see, sorry, Anne Frank only online ticketing. It's to inform people, but of course, we also use these things. And that's marketing. The Rembrandt House is very beautiful. It's close by to other musea. If you have the Amsterdam City card, you can go there for free. So we tell people what the waiting lines is, but we also try to seduce them to visit other locations. Not that they will not go to the Van Gogh, of course they will go. But they probably go later on the day and get inspired by these kind of informations. We're working on this platform now to get better real-time data. Because there's a lot of data in Google, etc., but that's not real time. They pretend it's real time, but they base it on different algorithms. And we really try to cooperate with all these musea to get the real-time data, so we can serve these guests even more. This is another example of the use of new technology for us. It's called HoHum, and that is because this application is for the local people. So we thought if it's for locals, we have to give it a Dutch name. And it's a chatbot, and it's in Facebook, and it services local people for cultural activities. If you nowadays go to our platform, iamsterdam.com, and you say, I want to go out to a cultural event tonight, you get 300 options. We know from psychological research that we as a person can only handle 7 to 9 options. If it's more, we freeze. If we freeze, we do nothing, or we do what we always did before. So we had to think of a system that guides these people and gives them 7 to 9 options for the cultural shows, but that fit their own identity. It shouldn't be a sponsored list or a random list. This is artificial intelligence. Because you connect with your Facebook, it knows exactly what you are doing, what your Facebook friends are doing, etc., etc. So it gives you advice. And you can say, oh, I like the advice, and then it learns from what you are and what your preferences are. Of course, everything is officially assigned with the privacy laws from the European Union, but it really helps the local people to use this. And why did we start with the local people? Because they're just very important for our organization. It's also easier testing. Because it works for our local people, it will work for our visitors as well. So this year we're going to translate the cultural part internationally for our international residents, but also for our guests. And we hope within 3 years we will build it further, and it really be a tour guide for you that gives you the information that you are looking for. Then the private holiday rentals. And I have to disappoint you already, we do not have this solution. But what we did was trial and error. And we are talking over and over with Airbnb because we believe these kind of platforms will be there, and they serve as a request from our residents and from our visitors, and they serve as these offers. And I think in co-creation we will make it work better. Because when it started, we were really happy in Amsterdam. Economy was down, we had a lot of creative people, they were not making so much money, and by lending out their apartment, they could stay in the city. And we're a city of diversity, and we want everybody to stay in the city. So it worked out well. But of course, we never would have thought it would explode so much. The negative effect on the social cohesion, the noise disturbance, etc., that was not a good part. And especially most of the times by illegal hotel owners that misuse the platform. So we made really tight legislation on it. You're only allowed to rent out your house if it's your main house. So you have to live there yourself. So you can never buy an apartment for investment reasons and rent it out. You have to live in the house yourself. you can lend it out for a maximum of 60 days per year. The 1st of January, it goes down to 30 days a year. Only to a maximum of 4 people. Why? Because we think that 4 people make less noise than 8 people. And most bachelor parties are not 4 people. There's a notification requirement, so you have to say over and over, every time you rent out your apartment, you have to give this assignment to City Hall. You need a permission from the Homeowners Association. Of course, they collect city tax. The Airbnb platform does and hand it over to the City Hall, and Airbnb blocks the ads after 60 days rent out. So there were more than 2,000 ads blocked last year. And the biggest problem is not making the rules. The biggest problem is prosecuting the rules and the law, and prosecuting the people that don't apply the rules, and the law enforcement. So we also said there we have to improve it with new technologies. So we do a lot on scraping. And scraping is just analyzing with artificial intelligence software all the websites to see if they use the same pictures, the same language, etc. Because people that want to misabuse these kind of platforms, they're very clever. So they do all the tricks to pretend that it's a different apartment and it's the same by having different photos, etc. But the software is so very smart that if you do this, and you have to invest in it, you really get quite easily the data up from the people that are trying to fake you. We have, of course, a hotline that local people can call to, and they come within 12 hours. We have a lot of mystery guests. They book apartments to see if they can stay with 8 people, to see all these other kind of things. And the easy thing with what we realized with the scraping, for instance, that we just checked how many reviews does somebody have. If you have more than 30 reviews, the chance that you have over 60 days is quite big. So it's an easy, big data doesn't mean complex things. It means matching the right data with each other. Most frequent offenders, like I said, a lot of the people do apply to the rules. And then you see that the negative effect of this holiday rental is not applying. You know, when you have somebody, a guest in your own house, and only 4, most of the times these people behave and they add something to the city instead of taking away. If you have a limited amount of days, you don't have the threat on your social cohesion because it's only once in a while that apartments were running out. The sanctions are big, so if you get caught, you get huge penalties. We went in 2016, we collected 1.9 million from fees on illegal use of apartments. But the local people kept complaining, and they had a point. So the local government said, okay, we are going to do some extra, we invest 1 million extra, and we're just going to build a business case. Sorry, we're Dutch, we're merchants. So we put 1 million extra in software development and in more people working on the business case. And in 2017, we collected 4.2 million. So we invested 1 million, and we got 2.3 back. That's a good business case. And the good thing is that we see that we're closing down buildings. If it's permanent apartments that are rented out permanently, they close it immediately. If it's social housing, then they immediately terminate the lease contract because it's only applicable for people that own houses. And that is also maybe for some people different than here in Barcelona. We have 55% of our housing in Amsterdam is social housing. Because we want to be a diverse city. We want to have people from different areas, high educated, low educated, high job, handcrafting jobs, because that is what made the city big, and we believe that diverse cities are the cities of the future. So by all these boundaries, that we only have 30% of our housing is owned by owners, private owners, and if you apply all these rules, you can imagine that you selected amount of visitors that stay over in Airbnb. The other hand is that Airbnb is not the problem. Like I said, it's a platform, people misuse it, we have to do this strict, but we have a hotel stop in Amsterdam that helps. But what do you think all the cities around us are doing? Buying hotels. because there's just this huge request. So we have to say we should focus on the real problems, on the social cohesion, noise disturbance, etc., antisocial behavior, and not only on these platforms. And now we see the apartment numbers going down. And of course the critical said, okay, but now they're coming up at booking.com or wimdu.com. No, we checked it. We see some people changing their apartment to a room. But still, a room, you have to be in the house if you lend out a room. And there are not so many Dutch people that prefer to have guests in their own house when they are there themselves that misbehave. Well, these are a lot of examples that we're working on. Again, it's trial and error, and we're making it better and better every day, because together, by making the city livable, lovable, and prosperous, we hope that our guests say thank you to our residents, but we also, and even more, hope that our residents say thank you again to the visitors.